everybody. It's great to see you.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Helen.
Hello. Putting away the sewing.
Hey, thanks for showing up. I'm going to wait 2 minutes and we can chat. But then after that, I'd like you to turn your video and audio, mute yourself and turn your video off because a lot of people signed up, have no idea what percentage will show up. So
we're already at 123.
yes.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, that's good.
Well, we had over 400 sign up.
Whoa.
Oh, God.
But you know, people sign up and they can't come. Or I did say sign up if you want the replay. So some people knew they couldn't come. Anyways, so hello. I'm just going to wait another minute or so. And I do have Lori here helping me with technology.
Good.
It's fun to see all of you. I'm going to scroll through.
I just read the part about you can cut out your template if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to zip through the project and you'll see how to do it, and it's pretty simple. So I think you'll just remember what to do. Yeah, and I didn't say that in my first email, but yeah, you kind of have to cut things out twice. So if you have the templates cut out, that's great. If you don't worry about it. I saw someone hold up, the templates could actually be cut to the smallest size into the small squares. Someone held up and they were still connected. Yeah, Sarah's got them. All right, well, we're gonna get started. And thanks for showing up. It's always great to see everyone. And I forgot to say, you can type into the chat where you're from and what paper you're using today. I'd love to know if you know. And let's, because we have a crowd, if you can turn your video off and mute yourself, especially mute yourself. And then we will come back at the end. That usually works pretty well. You can type questions into the chat at any time. And I do have Lori here who's managing things behind the scenes. So just FYI. And I'm going to do a short PowerPoint, about 10 or 15 minutes, about the whole Celebrating Solstice package. We're doing phase 1 today, and then there are phases 2 and 3. And then we'll spend the rest of the time making the Accordion Solstice Book. So while I'm talking, if you have any questions about my upcoming online class, feel free to type those in the chat. And then we will have Q&A at the end, and also show and tell. And I'd love for you to, we'll do some screenshots. You'll hold up what you made today, and we'll take some screenshots so we can see the variety. And then also, I'd love for you to post what you make on Instagram and tag me. I'll repost it, and it'd be fun to fill Instagram with some solstice accordion books. Okay.
Helen?
Yes.
There was a comment that someone hadn't gotten the materials list. I did just drop the links in there that include the template, etc.
Okay, yes, good. All right, so the way we do the links, I'm going to mention a few links, and those will all be dropped into the chat at one time in one block, so it's easy for you. So they're in there right now, and I will send everybody the replay and the links. But if you need the template and the supply list right now, there's a link to that. And that came out, I sent it several times with all of the reminders. So you should have received it. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen here. Let me get it on the right slide. Okay. Okay, so we're celebrating the solstice, and just a couple of things. I said this already, but where are you typing from, and what's your favorite paper, or what paper are you using today? I look forward to looking back and seeing that. And okay, sometimes my screen is not moving. Hang on. Okay, there we go. And by the way, if you look at me, I have two monitors, so you're going to see the side of my head while I talk here. But phase 2 of this series is the panel lampshade workshop, and that was that. Yes.
Helen, your PowerPoint is not being centered on the screen. There. It's like it's too big. Somehow it's too big.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I just changed the size. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I'm going to stop. Let me share again because it doesn't look like the frame is around it.
Yeah, it's not looking like it did when we were testing it.
Okay. Does that look better?
It's still cutting off. It's weird.
It's good for me. It's good for me.
Oh, you know what? Let me.
Okay, thanks.
Looks fine here.
It looks fine for me too.
Okay, thanks.
Looks
Good for me.
so-
All right,
Looks fine.
I'm going to go ahead because it
My
looks like the
problem.
window is correct. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the panel lampshade workshop sold out really quick. So I did open a new session. If you're interested, that link is in the, will be in the chat. And there are actually only a few spots left in the second session. So maybe I'll even offer it again. And that will just be learning how to cover a wireframed lamp. And that is not something that we're doing in the paper and light class. So it's an additional project. Oh, okay. All right. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. And I know a lot of you have been to several of these, so I try to make it different every time, even though my story is really the same. But my initial interest in paper began on a brief trip to Japan 30 years ago when I stayed in a traditional inn filled with shoji screens. And I was living in New York City at the time. And shortly after that trip to Japan, I found Dudone Paper Mill, a hand paper making studio where I worked for 6 years. And I started exploring this interest that was sparked in Japan of paper and light and different ways that paper can be manipulated and illuminated. And while working there, I was approached by a publisher and asked if I wanted to write a book about making paper with plants. And around the same time, another publisher called this paper making studio looking for someone who could write a book about making paper lamps. And so it was really random. I did not seek out to write how-to books, but I really enjoy it. And yeah, it led to all of these books. So this was my third book, and it really bridges my interest between handmade paper and paper craft. And now, oh, this, okay. So this is the cover reveal of my new book, which is coming out in February of 2022. It's been really interesting with COVID. I turned my manuscript in right after COVID hit in 2020, and we've been working on the edits, and the book has been photographed, and there are lots of shipping delays, probably many of you know, getting things shipped from overseas. My book is not even at the printer yet, but based on other books that are, it's been pushed back a couple of times, but it will come out, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you. And this beautiful cover was designed by Owen Gildersleeve, who is a paper artist. Okay, I've been teaching in-person workshops for the past 25 years, both in my studio and at venues around the world. Here you see my studio inside and outside. And I started teaching online in 2017. And my first class was called Paper Illuminated. And this Paper and Light class is an expansion on that. Paper and light really is my passion. As I said, I was entranced by it 30 years ago, and I've been exploring it ever since. And I developed this Paper and Light class last summer when we were all stuck at home during COVID. This year, I've developed new content. So if you took it last year, you could take it again. And I know a lot of us are getting around to traveling again. So I want to describe a little bit how it works, how my online classes work, because they are not live. And you don't have to be anywhere at a particular time, although we will have 2 Zoom meetings throughout the class. But as you know, you can do Zoom meetings from anywhere. So this class is the equivalent of a week-long workshop with me in person. And once you register, you'll go through a very simple enrollment process, which gives you access to my online classroom on a user-friendly platform called Ruzuku. And every Monday morning, starting on June 21st, a new lesson will be in the classroom. And those lessons remain there for you to visit anytime. There's a video and a PDF you can download. And you can visit these again and again forever, not just during the class. The content remains there and you will continue to have access. So as I said, there will be a step-by-step video tutorial and PDF instructions that you can print out to refer to when you're working on each project, printable templates, if applicable, and information about supplies and where to find them. And when you register, you also get a thorough supply list of the supplies you'll need for the class. And I like to throw in a lot of extras. Since I've been working with paper for so long, I have a library full of information. And this is an example of an extra. When I wrote that book, Paper Illuminated, I created these instructions on how to create your own pattern for making what I call a wraparound shade. So in the class, we'll make one that has the same diameter top and bottom. So the top ring and the bottom ring create a cylinder. But I'm sure you all have lamps at home that are a smaller ring at the top and a larger ring at the bottom. And so there's actually geometry involved in figuring this out. And it's quite complex. I've done it a couple of times. So I'll share this handout on how you can do that if you're interested. And each week I initiate a discussion prompt so that you can ask questions, share photos of your work in progress, see what other participants are creating, and comment on their work. And I highly recommend that you participate in the online community where you will be inspired by other like-minded creatives. It's a really fun part of the class. And of course, we'll talk about paper and the many ways you can enhance it with light, such as piercing holes, layering, collage, integrating pop-ups, and more. And I'll also share skills that you can use beyond the class. We'll learn a traditional Japanese lantern form called the chochin, and I'll talk about how to design your own shapes. And I've used this same structure to create installations like my installation you see here called Mother Tree. And in the last session, I'll show you how to wire a lamp. I used to be scared of working with electricity, and maybe you are too, but it's really quite simple and safe. And this is optional. You don't have to do it, but I think it's important that you understand how it works. So that's something that will happen in the last lesson. Here are a few testimonials from former online class participants. And I also invite you to take a look at the video that I made about the class. That's on the class registration page, which will drop into the chat. And you can hear me talking about the class a little bit more, but also see the work of past participants. And I know summer is a busy time, especially as we're getting back to life as we used to know it. Class does begin on June 21st, just over 2 weeks, and it ends the week of July 26th. And if you're interested, I encourage you to sign up soon so you can access the supply list and get ready. But that said, you can sign up right to the last minute. The first week's project is fairly basic, and so you'll probably have most of those supplies on hand. And okay, that wraps that up. Lori, let me know if there are any questions, and we'll move on to the project. So let me stop sharing my screen.
I'm not seeing anything in particular.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let's switch to my phone. And everybody, you want to be on speaker view so you can see my hands,
Okay.
right? Is that
Okay.
right? Speaker view?
No, they shouldn't have to do anything now.
Okay, you should just
Spotlighted
see it. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so I want to start out showing you a little book that I made when my son was born. He was born in the summer around, well, a month after the solstice, and he's turning 22 this year. So this is old and it's wearing out a little bit, but it's called Birth Moon. And this was the inspiration for the project we're doing today. That's why I'm showing it to you. So this is an origami box. It's just a folded box lid and box base. And then this is hard to see, but it kind of compares the process of giving birth to the moon, because there was an eclipse the night that he was born and I was in labor all night long. So, and this is a little different than the structure we're making, but this has these little pages. So here's it's like a, kind of like a tunnel book, if you know the tunnel book. It's got these collapsible accordion on the bottom and the two sides, and then the top is open. And so you pull out each phase of the moon, and I'll read it to you. And again, it's about birth. It's not vulgar or anything, but as my cervix dilated, the moon eclipsed. There you see the text. That night, the moon was full, and you were born. So this is where the project started. And here's the sample you've seen. So it's an accordion. And I know we're all at a little bit of different phases. I did recommend that you cut out the templates, but if you didn't, you can do that now, and you're just gonna watch me and follow along. It's a simple project. And I'm gonna work fast. So you might not finish during this time. Some of you I know will work right along with me. I actually have the templates cut out, but I'm just gonna show you quickly. So I'm gonna cut all 4, and then I have 3 on another page. And accuracy is pretty important because you want the phases to line up. So all the circles are one on top of the other. But that's hard to get. So just be aware of that. And maybe you're making a model right now, and then you'll do it again. So, cutting circles is hard also. So I'll use my ruler where I can, where I have a straight line, but then I'll switch to freehand cutting. There are all kinds of X-Acto knives. My favorite is still just the regular, but there are ones with swivel tips and things that are designed to make cutting curves easy. I haven't found one that I particularly love. I have a lot of cutting experience, so I'm pretty adept in just using this blade. Okay, so I'm going to move now to the templates that I have cut out. And I'm just going to show you that I taped them together in order so there's tape on the back, just so I had them in sequence. I didn't tell you to bring tape, but this is something you could do. You could even make this with just small squares that you connect. I have a sample here that I made and I used washi tape for the hinges. Some people wrote to me and said, what if I don't have a 24-inch long strip? So maybe you have two 12-inch. So you could join the hinges I put washi tape actually on both sides to make it a pretty strong seam. But you could also have like an overlap, a tab that you glue to make your sheet longer. So I was looking in my paper, and so I had this sparkly paper, and I thought, actually I didn't have enough of the black to do it all in black. So I had a red piece. So I made the cover and the back cover in the red. And then I'll show you this again at the end because there's a few other creative options. Okay, so I have these taped together, and I could use them that way, but I'm going to just cut a couple apart. So now we're going to fold our paper. So you should have your long strip. This is 24 inches. I don't have a 24-inch viewing spot. I'm going to use the same paper that I had. This is a Chiogami from Japan. I can't remember which supplier I got it from. I just had it. So you want to put it face down and make your first fold. So now you should be able to see that. Yeah. In half. And so you're going to line up the two ends. And both, you want them to overlap, not have any, not be off, in other words. So you're going to push right up to the end and make sure vertically that they're matching. And then you're going to crease that fold. Now, I can't control what paper you have, but some papers fold better than others, and I did recommend short grain. So paper has a grain, and we're doing all these folds in this direction. So it's handy if your paper grain is running this way. And if you had a thicker paper and needed to use a bone folder for scoring, that's fine. Because I'm right-handed, now I'm going to turn this over. And sometimes I do this way, but I think you can see it better this way. So either way, I'm going to just take the top layer and I'm going to line up that end again. And I'm going to make a fold. Do we have any questions? We're doing okay?
Not seeing any.
Okay, good. Now you're going to flip it over. I know a lot of you know how to do an accordion fold too. And you're going to do the same exact thing with the other end. So now you should have the back side of your paper, if it's double-sided, face up. And then if I unfold it, this is what I've got. A W. Now I like to, let me just think for a second. I want to have all mountain folds, so I'm going to reverse the first one and the last one. And I'm just showing you my sequence of doing this. There's multiple ways. So I have now all mountains. So this is a mountain versus a valley. If you look at it this way, it's a valley. But what I'm going to do now is take my first mountain and I'm going to bring it up to that same edge. And I'm going to crease underneath. So now I've got that. And then you're just going to repeat that 2 more times because I have this next mountain. And then I have 1 more. So I'm just trying to be as accurate as I can. So these will be nice 3 by 3 inch squares. And then I've got my last flap. There's no fold there. And I'll crease that. And you know what? I thought about this and then I did it the wrong way. So we should have actually had our paper face whatever, the back side up when we started. So now I just have to switch them all. It's not a big deal. I was trying to get it in the right order. Okay, because I want my decorative side on top. So this is the orientation. I'm going to show you a couple of orientations because you can do this in different ways. I'm going to do that now, but let me just check. Are we all doing okay?
It's looking good. I'm not getting any questions in the chat.
All right, awesome. Okay. Okay, so now just take a quick look at how I have mine oriented. So you see how I have a fold on the front edge. My first is a fold as opposed to opening this way, okay? Because I think of this as opening this way and I want to see my decorative paper. And that's how I have this. Okay, and so now, oh, and I wanted to show you the opposite. So this one, oh no, they open, yeah, this one's the opposite. So this is just to show you that there are variations, and then I'll go back and show you what I'm doing, and you can just follow along. But this one actually opens this way to see it in that regard. So, but the cutouts still work, and if you look closely, they're symmetrical or opposite, right? So here's this one and this one's going this way. So there are lots of ways you can play with the structure is what I'm trying to tell you. But if you want to see it like this when it's done, you need to follow the little, how I have the top right on all of the templates. So see what that means is it's in the top right corner. And they're all numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 8 is nothing, but it's just the last panel. And I'll show you what you might do with that, but it just makes for a clean accordion. It'd be weird to have 7. Okay, so now this really depends on your paper. And it can get confusing. So just be patient and be open to making a mistake on your model. And really you could just make this out of the template right now if you want. If you have some tape there and want to just tape it together. Because now I'm going to have it stretched out this way to my left. You know what? This is so confusing. I got to make sure I'm doing it right. The problem I'm going to have here, okay, I don't want to do that. Actually, I want to go the other way. It's the same thing. I want to start on the left-hand side. Sorry. So I've got my model here that you can see. And then number 2 is like this and so on, right? So I can see, yes, that's correct. So it'll fold up correctly. That's what I want to pay attention to. Now, if your paper is dark, it's not going to be easy to see if you draw a pencil line. I'm just going to see if I can see it at all. Not really. Okay, so I know you are all clever. I'm going to do one of two things. You can cut close to your stencil, or you could flip this over, but I'm not going to do that because I could get really confused. And keep this like this and draw it on the back. This would be a good reason to make your template model, and then you can just flip the whole thing upside down. To cut these out. You guys following me? That's actually what I'm going to do now.
So there are a couple of suggestions for
Okay.
Doing it on the colored side, which is using a silver colored pencil or a white pastel pencil are two suggestions.
Absolutely. Yep. And depending on how you cut, you might see a little bit of that silver or white.
Mhm.
Was that it?
That's it.
Okay. I'm just because I said this, I'm going to cut one with my stencil in place there. And then I'm going to do the other ones. Drawing them on the back. So I like to make it as comfortable as possible for cutting. So you see I moved my hand around. In other words, I don't cut a complete circle, or I turn my cutting mat around, but I don't have a huge desk here with the video, so. Okay, and you can keep your cutouts because you'll have all the phases of the moon as cutouts, and you can do something else with those. Okay, so again now, since I've got these all taped together and they're in the correct order to stack up like this, I'm going to flip upside down. And now I'm going to just carefully do each one, making sure that it's lined up as best I can into the 3-inch spots. So in other words, I'm not just going to slap this on there and start tracing all of them. At each point, I'm going to double check where those the two sides are, if they're matching my fold lines underneath. And again, the last panel does not have any cutouts. Okay, so now I've got them all. And I will just go through and cut those. Someone is asking, could you write on the back? Yes, I'm going to show you some ideas. Absolutely. This could be like a book with text or card. And I saw Just a second. Okay, Elaine still can't find the templates.
I've.
Oh, you
she's got
took
it
care
down.
of that?
She's
Okay,
got it
good.
down.
All right. And then I saw someone asking about whether I was putting a kit together for the class,
Mhm.
and I'm not. I don't do that anymore. I used to, but you get a really thorough supply list, and I have worked with like the lamp shop for putting together a kit that you can order from them. Okay, so now I'm just going to work my way through the phases, cutting them. So you can ask any questions.
So there's a suggestion by Brenda. She taped her template to the printed paper using a light tack washi tape, just to keep it,
In
in
place.
place. Yeah.
Oh,
And
cool.
then removed it.
And that could be to, I'm assuming you cut through that, Brenda, but maybe you just traced. Either way. I live high up in the Colorado Rocky Mountains, and we have a pretty good view of the sky every night. And I usually take my dogs out after the sun is down. And it's always fun to see where the moon is, what shape it is, the constellations.
And Gina's noting that she glued some of her cutout phases to the back of the accordion to add more color.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, you could actually glue the, you have the opposite of each phase as a cutout. So you could actually make the whole moon on the back. Maybe that's what she meant.
Mhm.
So like this.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there's so many creative ideas. And again, I hope that you will all post on Instagram and tag me, and so we can see what everybody does. We'll do a little hold up of our pieces at the end too, but Instagram will be a better way to see them bigger.
Heather is wondering if you can paste a second cardstock cutout to the front and a solid cardstock panel on the last panel for a front and back cover so that it's like a book.
Sure. The front cover, oh, so you mean maybe it would be a separate, another piece. You could do anything. Yeah, you could have this be, so you could have an extra panel on the front and the back, or if you wanted to have a weird number, because the back one already is kind of like a cover, you could just add another panel, or you could somehow strengthen this panel that's already here and cut out of it, because you want that circle. So I'm not sure if you mean that you want to cover the circle or not, but yes, anything and everything goes. So there's mine. Now I have twins. And well, that went pretty quick. I want to show you one thing I did with this little guy that was all the separate pieces that I use the washi tape to connect. It's hard when you have lots of separate pieces to get it to line up perfectly. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of got a creep. And I was making it kind of quick, but when you glue pages side by side like this, it's handy to have a straight edge at the bottom so that they'll be lined up exactly. And then on the back of this one, I did think you could have a message. So somebody asked about text. So I just got this quote about the moon. When water is still like a mirror, it can behold the moon. That's a Rumi quote. And I stuck that in the back page. But you do have all of this white space back here that you could use calligraphy, or if you rubber stamps, however you would want to add text. I think that would be a fantastic addition. I made another one out of this paper, which looked celestial to me.
There are suggestions to use a new different paper for the cutout parts on the back, as Gina did, but substituting different paper. Somebody else is suggesting Zentangles and using it for Japanese poems about the moon.
Yeah, absolutely. All great ideas. Okay, what else? That went faster than I thought it would. You could match up your, do different things with those extra moon parts. It's kind of fun to see what shapes develop, because they're all going to be circles, but you're going to have different little slivers. I'm going to go back to gallery view, and if people want to show their progress so far, I'm guessing some people are done, maybe.
Sorry, I'm removing the spot. I removed the spotlight.
And then you guys can turn your videos on.
Yeah. And I'll give people some time to not everyone's holding up what they've done. Let me see.
Yeah, this is just kind of a preview. I see that pretty blue paper, Marilyn, with the pattern. I have a question from Erin. What would it look like to cover the back sides with something transparent like vellum? Well, try it. You would be able to, you would see through. The one thing about vellum is it's hard to glue, and because it likes to wobble when it gets wet. So I would caution you about that. And also, if you put double-sided tape, you'll see it through the vellum. So there are different kinds of little glue dots that are like double-sided tape that might be, you could strategically place. I think you would see them still, but they would look neat, like 4 dots in the corner. Yeah. Sew it, Leslie says. Sew it. So you could sew the vellum. I don't think I've sewn vellum, but I've sewn handmade abaca, which is crisp like vellum. Yeah, it should work.
Yeah, I've actually sewn vellum a lot, made pockets for things a lot, and it's worked.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
I've been trying to, I haven't gotten any shots yet, so I was trying to get a good screen. So if people can hold up their piece and I can do a screenshot.
I don't know why I can't scroll through the screens. It's really weird. It's stuck on the last screen.
Okay, I'm trying to get where I can see a lot of people holding up their pieces. So if anyone who's got one, if you can hold it up so I can get a shot.
Oh, I love it. And some of you have it expanded and some are closed. Ooh, one with polka dots. Love it.
Let's see.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I'm on a different screen. Hold them up. Yeah, we've got a lot there. Let me get another one.
So you can turn your video on if you have it off. I see a lot of blanks at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice, that black and white print, Ramsey. Love it. Susanna, that looks interesting. Your paper is different colors in different sections, so it looks really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, so scroll through your screens, everyone, and you can see what other people have made too, if we hold them up still. Nice. Okay, Brenda says, love connecting pages with washi tape. Awesome activity to do with upper level, elementary, and young adult patrons at the library. Yeah. And we'll make shaving cream marbled paper for the printed strip. Awesome. Okay. Anne got lost with the folding. I'm happy to show that again. So we've got time and people can still ask questions, keep working, but I have another strip here I'll fold. So Lori, can you spotlight again?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Helen.
Were you just saying thanks? Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you very
Okay.
much, Helen.
Okay, so I'll do that the correct way this time, where you're going to have your paper face up. Now I have a paper that doesn't really have two distinctive sides, but put your paper face up and you're going to bring one end over to the other one and just make sure it's lined up vertically and matched up exactly. And then you'll fold that in half. So you've got this 2 layers with a fold on one end. I am going to turn it around. I just like to work this way. So there's no reason you have to, but I like to fold towards my left for some reason. So now I'm going to take just the top layer and fold it over to that edge. And by the way, this is just a really good way to make an accurate accordion fold so that all of the panels are equal. Okay, so now I've got 3 layers like that. I'm going to flip it over and take my top single layer and fold that. So now I've got this. This is, I like this paper from, you can get it from Washi Arts or Mulberry Paper and More. It's a Japanese linen paper. And they have 2 different weights. This is the lighter weight, but it's still like a cover. Okay, so now that I've got that, I think I did this a little different the last time, but anyways, I want to have all mountain folds, so I'm going to reverse that center one. There are lots of ways to do these things. And so now all of these folds are pointing up like mountains. And I'm going to start at my left side, just because I like to work on that side first, and take that fold over to that same edge. And now I'm making that in half again. So I've got that. And then I'll take my second fold, bring it up to that same edge. And then my third fold, again, same thing. And so these are all just lining up, right? One on top of the other in a nice, neat pile. And then I'll take that last flap. So there's no more folds. It's just the last flap, and I'll fold that. Yeah, and for some reason, it's still the other way. I don't know what I'm doing. So anyways, I like to start with my book set up like this. So the first fold is on the right and it's open on the left. But it will work in other ways. Everything will just be symmetrically the opposite. Okay, so I hope you got that.
Okay. There's a question, someone used thick paper and they want to know if you have any tips for getting thick paper to stay folded.
Well, you use a bone folder when you do your creases. You can use a bone folder, that helps. You can bone fold the whole thing when it's done. If you have a press, like a book press, you can apply pressure. So see, mine doesn't want to stay flat, but if I put it in my press, I think it would. Even if you have a little flower press or something like that, you could put it under weight, like heavy books or something else that you have that's heavy. But it's really important if you have a cover weight that the grain is running in this direction. So when paper's made on a machine, it spews out all running in one direction, and paper folds much better in that direction. And especially the thicker the paper you have, when you fold it, it might even crack if you're folding it against the grain. So that is just something you need to plan from the get-go.
Oh, what can you do with the
Oh.
little pieces that you cut out?
The pieces you cut out? Okay,
Yes.
we had a couple of ideas. One is to glue them on the back. So you could glue the circle on your blank page. And then the other pieces will fit into your other shapes. This one goes here, but you could play around with that. So that's one idea. And then I look forward to what you all do and maybe share with me for other ideas. I was thinking about that. I don't know what the structure is where you hang a string and suspend something. So some of you might know what I'm talking about. It's a book structure with windows, and then you hang a string between two layers of paper and you attach something to it. So if you're following me, I would cut all circles. So big circles, and then these could be suspended and the phases of the moon could twirl. I don't know how well.
Where would they be suspended from?
So you actually, this is like a whole nother project, okay? But you'd put a string here and it would come down and it would tie to your piece of paper, and you would have this whole, actually you would do it here. And this would be tricky to get the phases to line up. You take the string, it could actually glue in between. No, I think you tie it. And you put another piece of paper on top. So you'd have to have another window that you put on top. And then this, so I'm just going to, this would spin around. Does anybody know what that structure is called? Because you probably look it up online. I have a Facebook group called the Paper Studio, and one of my participants, anyone can join, it's free, posted a book like this recently.
We
mini
just
logo.
made them
A
in the
spin-
BABA group. We just made this book. And it would be easiest if you want it to be suspended, cut out two of the moon shapes. You glue the string between the two
right.
shapes. Then when you bring the string up to the outside, you tape it top and bottom. You can cover it with a strip of the same paper that you're taping it to cover the thread. But it's best to put your thread between two identical pieces. And your
So
outer circle has to be a little larger.
Right, so your string goes all the way through then.
Right, and
Yeah,
then you tape
thank
your
you.
string on the outside and it goes down through the middle of those two shapes.
Right, they're sandwiching.
Okay.
Okay, that was just like another wild idea.
Okay.
Okay,
Jerry said it's a spinning accordion book.
Mhm.
And he just posted a link to a video tutorial from Vintage Page Designs that's on YouTube. So
Right, right.
that's in the chat now, that link. There's a question about getting the recording of this session. Is that going to be sent out, or how will that be?
yes, I will sell it. I will sell it. I will send it as an email. So you will get a link to the recording. And you'll get that by Monday. You might get it before.
Get it by when?
Monday at the latest.
And could you put in the links?
I will put the links,
Like-
yes. I'll include the
So-
chat too. The chat won't be edited, I don't think. Sometimes it's easy to edit it, I might. So, but I can easily put the chat in there too. So you'll get the whole recording of the meeting and the chat and the links that I highlighted. Okay, let me come back. Can you unspotlight me?
Mhm. Sorry, hold on. Okay.
Okay, any last questions? Thanks so much, everyone, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Helen.
Yeah, hope to see you around.